Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 2. So in Module 2, we're still kind of in the introductory phase of the class. The first thing that we want to do is get you started in on the writing process. So the writing process is how we want to approach any type of writing assignment that you get in any class, but particularly this class. We start off with really looking at the assignment, analyzing what you need to do with the assignment, and then going through what we call the pre-writing phase of writing. So we will pre-writing, we write, and we rewrite. And so we're really going to be emphasizing that this semester. This section, this module, is focusing mostly on that pre-writing, just practicing. You're not even really getting to the first essay assignment yet. So we'll be doing that in the next few modules. But the main thing that we're doing here is focusing on this, what we call invention, or what the book calls invention. So here in the Patterns for College Writing textbook, we have this chapter 2, invention, which is the pre-writing phase, which is like one of the most essential parts of writing, because without a clear plan, you really don't have anywhere to go. And a lot of students skip this phase. They just jump straight into writing. And what happens is then usually the first half of the essay or so it's kind of jumbled. There's not a lot of organization. There's not a clear focus. We don't really see what we're doing because you can't have an understanding of how it's going to end up if you don't really know where you started from. So that invention section is really important. So you're going to read this entire chapter. Now it's divided kind of into two parts. The first part, well, I'll say 3 parts. The first part is understanding your assignment. And this phase is like basically how do you analyze a writing assignment that you're given in a class. And then the next stage is to actually focus on getting the topic itself done. So deciding exactly what you're going to do for your topic. And so this whole section here is on how to like plan a topic, decide on your topic, you brainstorm about your topic, outline your topic, all of that. So what you're going to do is once you've done these readings, you're going to complete what's called the pre-writing journal. The pre-writing journal is 4 exercises out of the textbook. And I've got the page numbers on here and then kind of an explanation of the actual exercise, but you can also follow along in the book. And basically we're starting with exercise 4, and exercise 4 has you doing a free write about, exercise 4 has you asking questions about 2 of these topics. So you're just going to pick 2 of the topics off of this list. Now, the most important thing to remember is that you are not writing an essay about any of these topics, okay? So some students try to make this assignment way harder than it needs to be. Just pick 2 of the topics. So if you're in high school, and your high school, I know a lot of high schools in this area have just started using like really strict cell phone policies. And so maybe cell phones in the classroom is something that you have a lot of understanding of. Maybe it's affecting you personally or something. A lot of students pick the person you admire most because that's a personal thing. But maybe, you have just done a job interview, or you know a lot about genetically modified food or something like that. So any of these topics is fine. What you're going to do then is you're going to generate 3 or 4 specific topics by asking questions for probing. So if your topic is the minimum wage, then the first question you might ask is, what is the minimum wage? So we have a what question, right? So these are different types of questions for probing. Things like causes and effects, how it happens, what makes it work, that kind of thing. So you're going to take a question and you're going to tailor it to the topic that you've chosen. So you're doing that for 2 topics, 3 questions each. So 6 questions total. The next thing you're going to do is exercise 5, which asks you to take one of the questions that you asked in exercise 4 and do what's called a free write with it. And so a free write is just a free flow of writing, and you just set a timer about 5 minutes or so. You'll have at least 100 words when you're done. You just keep typing, typing, typing. It doesn't have to be perfect. There can be plenty of errors in it. It's just as many ideas as you can come up with. Exercise 6 asks you then to do the same thing, but with a specific topic from exercise 5. So if in your free write, if you're writing about minimum wage, and one of the things that you wrote about was how, you know, a lot of people believe that minimum wage jobs are just for high school students. And then your exercise 6 then might focus more on like how many other people might have a minimum wage job who aren't just high school students. So that might be then a focused free write. Exercise 7 asks you to actually take the topic that you've chosen and create what's called a cluster map. So a cluster map is one of those where you've got, I think it's under grouping ideas. You create that visual of what it should look like, different ideas that connect together. You can do this in a Word document pretty easily. All you have to do is just create, you know, put the little circle in there and then add some lines and then more circles. Some students have trouble with that, and that's fine. You can hand draw it if you want, and then just take a picture and then insert the picture into your Word document. That's another pretty easy way to do that. Then you're not worried about having like image files that I can't open. So make sure that you kind of think about how to put this all together. It's all one Word document, but you want to label them either with the entry 1 or the exercise number so I know which one is which, and then you'll submit the whole thing. So it's going to take you a little while because you have to go in order, but it's not supposed to be difficult. So you're just asking 3 questions about 2 topics for the first one, and then you do a free write, and then another free write, and then you do that cluster map. So it should be, hopefully, not terribly difficult for you. Just takes a little while to go through each step. So that's the first part of invention. The second part of invention is understanding what a thesis statement does for you. So that is the second half of, there's the third part of this chapter, just defining what a thesis statement is, and it gives you a bunch of different ideas for what a thesis is, what makes a good thesis, and an effective thesis, and not effective thesis, etc. And then what you're going to do is, and I've got a video for you. A lot of times you'll see videos that they're all optional, but they're just there to help those of you who are visual learners. I'm a visual learner. I can't. Someone describe it to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I can have a picture of it. So then you're going to take this quiz, and it's one of those that pulls from a pool, and you do it an unlimited number of times. But that's just it. Basically, it'll give you a thesis and asks you, is this a good thesis, true or false? And so that just gives you practice with identifying what makes a good thesis. The last thing in this module is going back to that mindful reading, which we started in the first module, and now we're practicing some other techniques. And this one is skimming. And so skimming is one of those skills that's really important in college because you're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of reading that you have to do. And so having good skimming skills can really help you cut down on the amount of time that you spend reading, but increase how much you retain from that reading. So this is really useful. In fact, you may want to do this first, and then then when you go through the invention chapter, that might help. But the skimming information is here, and there's more information in the second chapter about just techniques. And so you'll want to, then you're going to be completing this exercise here where you are looking at one of the pages in the book and asking what would you notice if you're skimming it, and then skim 3 online movie over reviews of a film you want to see, and then so a movie you haven't seen yet but you want to see, and then just kind of what do you see by skimming, can you identify different things. For that part, if you want to just like drop the URL for the different movie reviews that you look at into your document, that would be helpful, and then upload the document here just like you've done your other assignments. So that's the module. Again, we're still in the introductory phase. We're focusing on pre-writing. Don't forget you have these 3 grammar modules that you need to complete by the end of the semester. Now would be a really good time to do them because you have a lot of, well, not a lot, but you have some free time. You're not having to write an essay just yet. And so you should, I would say, focus on some of these assignments that you can get out of the way right now if you can. So if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.